We've all heard them, and some of these I actually believed at one time or another. But today, I'm here to debunk these ridiculous crochet myths. Hi, I'm Elise from LePetitSaintCrochet.com, and there are a lot of misconceptions about crochet. And some of these are widely accepted in society and are categorically false. And today I'm going through each and every one of them to prove them wrong. And before we get started, I want to know, what crochet myths have you heard of in your own life? Or maybe some of the ones that you believed before you became a crocheter. The first crochet myth is one that I actually thought at one time in my life, and I bet that you've either thought this or you know people who do, and that is that crochet is only for grandmas. This is such a common misconception that only older people enjoy crochet. In reality, crochet is enjoyed by people of all ages, and it's made a resurgence in young people recently. All you need to do is go onto TikTok and you're going to see tons of teenagers and young adults who are crocheting to their heart's content. And yes, there are a lot of grandmas out there who crochet. My grandma was one of them, and I'm so thankful that she passed down some of that knowledge to me. And I know that many of you are so thankful that you had a grandma or an older woman in your life who was willing to teach you as well. But there are also a lot of people in middle age like myself who love to crochet. But what surprises a lot of non-crocheters is that young people are enjoying crochet right now. It has really made a comeback, and I love to be on TikTok and I love looking at crochet content, and most of the people that I find on that platform are very young. They're not older people, they're not even middle-aged people like me. They are my children's age. Not only are there teenagers and young adults, but there are also children who are learning to crochet. And I think this crochet renaissance is partly to do with the fact that video tutorials are so widely available now, and if you want to learn how to do something, it is at your fingertips. The myth that crochet is only for grandmas is debunked. Let's take a moment to talk about today's sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning platform for creative people. They have thousands of amazing classes in so many different creative areas like crocheting, knitting, and sewing, just to name a few. What's great is that all Skillshare classes are online. You can learn from the comforts of your own home, and they are all ad-free. One of my favorite classes is Modern Crochet Essentials for Getting Started by Tony Lipsey from TL Yarn Crafts. This is a fantastic class for total beginners, but it is also great for those of us who want to polish up our existing crochet skills. This class contains 14 different lessons so that you can feel more confident with crocheting. One of my favorite lessons is about blocking and aftercare. I get so many questions about this, and this lesson explains not only how to do it, but why it's important. And what's even better is that the first 1,000 people to click the link in the description box below will get a 1-month free trial to Skillshare. Make sure to check out all of the other crochet classes as well. You'll find classes on amigurumi, mosaic crochet, and crochet jewelry, just to name a few. There's something for everyone. Thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. The next myth is that crochet is difficult. Some people assume that crochet is a challenging craft to learn. And while it does take time to master those advanced techniques, this is an accessible craft for beginners. With the right resources and a little patience, most people will be able to crochet if they want to learn how. This is one of those myths that I believed for a very long time, and it kept me from picking up a hook and yarn because I thought that it was for other people. I thought someone like me would never be able to learn how to crochet. Thankfully, at a very low point in my life, I was desperate enough to prove this myth false. I grabbed a crochet hook, some yarn, and jumped on a YouTube video and taught myself how to crochet. And I've never looked back. The myth that crochet is difficult is debunked. The next myth is that crochet is limited to a few projects like doilies and blankets. And there are some gorgeous doily and blanket patterns out there, but it is not limited to those projects. Crochet is a very versatile craft, and it's used to make a wide variety of different projects. You can make clothing, accessories, home decor, amigurumi, anything that your mind can think of, you could probably crochet it. I've been crocheting for several years, and I have not once made a doily. although I think they are incredibly gorgeous, and the talent and patience it takes to make a doily blows my mind away. But I have crocheted several blankets, and that's a project I really enjoy. But to think that crochet is limited to 1 or 2 projects is false. It's completely false. There are so many amazing things that you can create with crochet. The myth that crochet is only for doilies and blankets is debunked. This next crochet myth is one that makes my blood boil just a little bit, and that is that crochet is not as artistic, it's not as beautiful as knitting. This is a subjective viewpoint, but both crocheting and knitting are highly creative and artistic forms of expression. Crochet allows for unique stitch and textures that are distinct from knitting. It offers a completely different set of possibilities. This is one of those myths that actually really bothers me because as a crocheter and knitter, I can see the beauty in both, but I do believe that sometimes crochet ends up being looked down on and not as good as knitting. So here are a few of the reasons why I think crocheting is absolutely amazing and is not just the undervalued cousin of knitting. Number 1, crochet is completely versatile. With knitting, you have 2 basic stitches. You have knit and you have purl. But with crochet, there are an endless number of different stitches and techniques that you can use to create the most gorgeous patterns. There really are endless possibilities. Number 2, crochet is typically a bit faster than knitting. You're only using 1 hook, and with knitting, you're using 2 knitting needles. And with practice, crocheters can get really fast with their work. And number 3 is portability. As a crocheter and a knitter, I find that my crochet projects are more portable than my knitting projects. For knitting, because both of them are on 2 needles, I get super nervous that something's going to happen and my project's going to pop off the needles and everything's going to fall apart. But with crochet, I only have 1 hook. I just pull up a big long loop and I am able to take my project anywhere, and if a few stitches get pulled out, it's no big deal. And number 4, crochet is typically a little bit easier for beginners to learn than knitting. And number 5 is about fixing mistakes. If you're a crocheter and a knitter, you know that it is so much easier to fix a crochet mistake than it is a knitting mistake. Ultimately, whether you prefer crocheting and knitting is definitely a personal choice. Both crocheting and knitting have their positives and their negatives, but crochet is not less than knitting. That myth is debunked. The next myth is that crochet is not for men. I get comments on my channel from time to time, especially from young men who love to crochet, but they feel that society looks down on them for it, and some of them are actually bullied. And that breaks my heart so much because crocheting is for everyone. There are several well-known crochet designers out there like Vincent from Not Bad and Mikey from the Crochet Crowd. They are doing amazing work. But I recently read an article about a retired military veteran who enjoys crocheting. His name is James Savell from Woodway, Texas. And he started crocheting at the age of 4 and his grandmother taught him everything. From 1965 to 1985, he served in the U.S. Army under the Special Forces. It's at that time during his military career that he began crocheting rugs and afghans embedded with military patches of past and present. He's most proud of one rug he made featuring all of the Special Forces Green Beret flashes. I was absolutely blown away by Mr. Savell and his commitment to using crochet to give back to his community. The myth that crochet is not for men is debunked. The next crochet myth is that it is outdated. Some people believe that crochet lacks modernity and relevance in today's society. But as I talked about earlier, crochet has experienced this amazing revival, especially with young people. Crochet is definitely not outdated, and some of the biggest high fashion designers use crochet in their custom couture garments. The myth that crochet is outdated is debunked. The next myth is that crochet is expensive. Crochet can be as budget-friendly or as costly as you make it. While luxury yarns can be expensive, there are a lot of affordable options out there. Also, crochet hooks and other crocheting supplies are relatively inexpensive and you don't need a lot of them. Here are a few of my favorite budget-friendly tips. But if you look on YouTube, you're going to find a lot of amazing videos on how to crochet on a budget. My first tip is pretty obvious, and that is to shop the sales and the clearance bins at your favorite craft stores. But don't forget to look online as well. That's where some of the best deals are. Also, look at thrift shops and yard sales. These can be a treasure trove of yarn, hooks, and other crafting supplies. My next tip is to check your local library to see if they have crochet books. I was surprised to know that mine have a lot, and your local library may surprise you with all of the resources they have available. Another tip that may be counterintuitive but is to invest in good quality crochet hooks. They'll last longer and you won't need to replace them as often, maybe even ever. My next tip is to avoid unnecessary crochet gadgets. We really don't need all of these fancy little gadgets. We need yarn, we need hooks, and probably a pair of scissors and a yarn needle. That's it. We really don't need a lot of other stuff. Another tip is to limit the number of whips that you have. I know this is going to be hard for a lot of people, but the fewer number of whips you have and the more you finish a project and then start another one and finish it before you start another one actually is going to save money in the long run. You won't be wasting yarn and you'll be getting those projects done. It's a win-win situation. The myth that crocheting is expensive is debunked. The next myth is that crochet is time-consuming. Like any craft, the time required for a crochet project depends on the crafter's skill level and the complexity of the pattern they're working on. Some intricate patterns can take a long time to make, but there are smaller, quick projects that whip up in a jiffy. Crochet takes up as much or as little time as you can fit into your life. Some people want to spend all of their free time crocheting, and others only want to crochet occasionally. And both are okay. The myth that crochet is time-consuming is debunked. The next myth is that crocheting is only for winter clothes and accessories. Crochet can be enjoyed in winter weather, but it's also great for summertime as well. For example, one of my favorite crochet designers is Amber from Divine Debris. She recently released her Elsie tank top. It's absolutely perfect for these hot, humid days of summer right now. All you need to do is go on to Pinterest and you will find all kinds of crochet projects that are perfect for summertime. But also there are a lot of other things that you can crochet that really don't matter if you crochet them in the summer or in the winter, and that's amigurumi. It's my favorite thing to crochet, and it doesn't matter if it's winter or summer or spring or fall. It's the perfect project no matter the time of the year. The myth that crochet is only for making winter clothing and accessories is debunked. I hope you enjoyed debunking these crochet myths with me, and make sure to get your 1-month free trial to Skillshare by clicking the link in the description box below. I hope you all stay safe out there and happy stitching.